Imagine walking into your usual grocery store on a Saturday morning. You grab a cart, head toward the aisles, and something feels wrong. The shelves that once overflowed with familiar staples are half empty. Small signs taped to the racks read, "Out of stock." It isn't just a temporary shortage or a seasonal price spike. This time, entire categories of everyday food are disappearing for good. The scary truth? Most Americans don't see it coming. Global agriculture is under historic strain. Shipping channels are failing, extreme weather is crushing harvests, and the few companies holding the food supply together are quietly bracing for collapse. While the news focuses on politics and stock prices, the real crisis is unfolding in our kitchens. And who will feel this most? Retirees on fixed income, large families trying to stretch every dollar at Walmart or Aldi, and young adults looking to save money. For these groups, even small disruptions are devastating. But what's coming is far bigger. 10 simple items, things you likely bought just last week, are about to vanish. The good news? Knowing in advance gives you an edge. While everyone else panics, you'll already be stocked, prepared, and flexible. Let's walk through the 10 grocery items that will be hardest to find after August 2025, and more importantly, what you can do right now before it's too late. Cooking oils. Think about how often you reach for a bottle of oil. Frying eggs, baking brownies, tossing vegetables in a pan. Oil is at the heart of almost every meal, but by late 2025, those bottles may be the first thing missing from your store. The crisis began in Eastern Europe, where Ukraine and Russia once supplied most of the world's sunflower oil. Entire fields have been abandoned, and factories that press seeds into golden liquid now sit silent. Canola oil is no safer. Canada's prairie provinces, once fertile, have swung between brutal droughts and flooding rains. Yields are collapsing, leaving restaurants and food companies scrambling for alternatives. Even olive oil from the Mediterranean is under siege from relentless droughts, while palm oil faces sustainability restrictions. What does this mean for American families? The deep fryer becomes a luxury. Baking recipes may never taste the same. And for millions who grew up with fried chicken, crispy fries, or sautéed dinners, food will feel incomplete. Your best defense is preparation. Stock up now on versatile oils like canola, vegetable, or even coconut oil, which keeps longer. Learn cooking methods that need less oil, like steaming, roasting, or poaching. Generations before us survived without overflowing oil shelves, and we may need to relearn their wisdom. 2. Rice varieties. Jasmine, basmati, sushi rice. Rice isn't vanishing entirely, but the kinds you love most are. Jasmine rice from Thailand, prized for its aroma, is collapsing under climate stress. Farmers are abandoning the delicate strain because it no longer survives heat waves and irregular rainfall. Instead, they switch to tougher varieties that fill bellies but lack the fragrance that defines jasmine. Basmati rice from India and Pakistan faces a similar story. Authentic long-grain basmati requires very specific conditions during flowering. When temperatures spike, the grains lose their prized texture and aroma, meaning much of the harvest no longer qualifies for export. Even sushi rice, essential to Japanese cuisine worldwide, is under threat. The precise balance of soil, climate, and water is breaking down. Restaurants are already blending substitutes, but connoisseurs can taste the difference instantly. For families in America, this means favorite takeout spots may quietly change recipes. Your pantry staples may disappear altogether. Fortunately, rice can be stored long-term if done properly. Buy authentic jasmine or basmati now and keep it in airtight containers with bay leaves or vacuum-sealed bags. Experiment with U.S.-grown alternatives. You might find a new favorite before the classics vanish. 3. Spices, pepper, cinnamon, turmeric. Open your spice rack and look at the colors. Deep reds, golden yellows, rich browns. That rainbow represents fragile global networks now unraveling. Black pepper, seemingly the simplest seasoning, comes largely from Vietnam and India, both struggling with pollution, soil depletion, and shifting monsoons. Cinnamon from Sri Lanka is even more precarious. Political and economic collapse has left farmers unable to afford fertilizer or fuel. Cardamom, once called the queen of spices, is literally running out of mountain space to grow. Turmeric demand has tripled as Westerners discovered its health benefits, just as yields plummet under unpredictable rains. Without these, meals lose flavor and variety. Imagine chili without cumin, curry without turmeric, or holiday cookies without cinnamon. Food becomes plain, even depressing, when stripped of spice. The smart move? Buy whole spices now, not ground. They last longer and retain flavor. Build a small stockpile of versatile seasonings like pepper, cinnamon, and turmeric. Even consider growing easy herbs like basil or oregano at home. When shelves empty, those jars will feel like treasure. 4. Maple syrup. That familiar drizzle over pancakes or waffles isn't just breakfast, it's tradition. But real maple syrup is in deep trouble. Production depends on sugar maples growing in very narrow climate zones across the U.S. Northeast and Canada. These trees need freezing nights followed by warmer days to push sap upward. Climate change has disrupted that cycle. Winters swing from too warm to too erratic, leaving trees confused and sap production gutted. Vermont and Quebec farmers report their worst harvests in decades. Some trees barely drip, others don't produce sap at all. Add in wildfires, pollution, and rising energy costs, and many small producers are simply quitting. Since it takes 40 gallons of sap to produce a single gallon of syrup, even minor drops devastate supply. For families, that means shelves filled with imitation syrups made from corn syrup and artificial flavors. The taste? Not even close. Recipes that depend on maple's unique compounds, from cookies to glazes, won't work the same. Your move now is clear. Stock up on real maple syrup in larger containers. Learn to spot the words 100% pure on labels. Maple sugar and flakes also store well and can substitute in baking, because once the flow stops, no factory on earth can recreate it.
5. Nuts and seeds, trail mix, almond butter, or just a handful of walnuts at snack time. Nuts feel abundant, but the trees behind them are struggling. California grows 8% of the world's almonds, yet its drought has reached crisis levels. Almonds require a gallon of water per nut. Farmers are literally choosing which orchards live and which die. Warmer weather has also unleashed new pests that thrive in dry conditions, making harvests even more costly. Walnuts need long, cold winters to produce, but those chill hours are shrinking fast. Yields fall year after year. Sunflower seeds, whether roasted for snacks or pressed into oil, are caught in the same geopolitical mess as sunflower oil. And pine nuts? They take years to mature inside cones, yet wildfires and disease are wiping out forests faster than they can regrow. For Americans, the impact is huge. Nuts are staples in vegetarian, keto, and gluten-free diets. They add protein, healthy fats, and flavor. Without them, millions will scramble for alternatives. If you rely on nuts, start buying now and store them in airtight jars, or even freeze them to extend life. Choose versatile options like almonds and walnuts. The future may not have room for casual handfuls of nuts, but careful planning keeps them on your table.
6. Specialty flours, gluten-free cookies, keto bread, or paleo pancakes. Many of these depend on specialty flours, but the ingredients feeding this industry are collapsing. Almond flour is directly tied to the almond crisis, and when the nuts vanish, flour becomes an expensive luxury. Coconut flour faces its own struggles. Disease spreading among coconut palms and supply chain bottlenecks in tropical regions. Chickpea flour tells a different but equally grim story. As more people turn to plant-based diets, demand for chickpeas has skyrocketed. Farmers can't expand quickly enough, especially as soil and weather conditions turn unpredictable. The tragedy here isn't just inconvenience. For people with celiac disease, gluten-free flours are not optional. They're medical necessities. When shelves go bare, those with dietary restrictions may be forced to compromise their health. What can be done? First, diversify your baking habits. Experiment now with blends that use rice, oat, or even corn flour. Buy a small grain mill if you can. It lets you grind whole ingredients into flour at home. And when you see almond or coconut flour at good prices, grab extra. Because when supply drops, so does the freedom to bake the way you need. 7. Tea varieties. For millions, the day doesn't start without tea, but those calming cups depend on fragile ecosystems that are now unraveling. Take Earl Grey. Its signature flavor comes from bergamot oil grown in narrow strips of southern Italy. Those groves are being scorched by drought and destabilized by shifting weather, producing weaker fruit and lower quality oil. Without it, Earl Grey becomes just black tea with artificial notes. Darjeeling tea from India tells another story. Grown at specific altitudes in the Himalayas, it relies on predictable cool seasons that no longer exist. Rising heat disrupts harvest cycles, while political instability interrupts exports. Green teas from Japan and China are under equal strain, facing soil contamination, erratic rainfall, and labor shortages. Even herbal teas like chamomile or peppermint are threatened as wild habitats collapse under extreme weather. What does this mean for everyday drinkers? The ritual of morning tea, the comfort of a steaming mug at night, or the health benefits of herbal blends may become luxuries. Prices are already climbing, but the true shock will come when shelves hold only generic bags. If tea is part of your life, stock your favorites now. Store loose-leaf teas in airtight tins away from light and moisture. Explore locally grown herbs as alternatives. That simple cup of tea might soon feel like a rare indulgence. 8. Vanilla extract. One tiny brown bottle, yet it holds more drama than gold. Madagascar produces 80% of the world's vanilla beans, but 3 consecutive cyclone seasons have destroyed crops that take years to replace. Add to that the painstaking hand pollination each flower requires, and the labor force simply isn't there anymore. Vanilla isn't just about cakes or cookies. It hides inside countless everyday foods. Ice cream, cereals, even sodas depend on it. Food companies are already reformulating products with artificial substitutes, but the flavor never truly matches. For home bakers, the shock will come quickly. Prices have already surged over 300% in under a year, and by August 2025, bottles of pure vanilla extract could be rarer than fine wine. The fix is preparation. Buy real vanilla extract now, not imitation. Store it in a cool, dark place and it will keep for years. Vanilla paste, which is more concentrated, may stretch further, because when supply lines finally snap, vanilla won't just be expensive, it'll vanish. 9. Artisan chocolate. Chocolate is more than a treat. It's culture, comfort, and celebration. Yet its foundation, the cocoa bean, is collapsing. West Africa supplies 70% of the world's cocoa, but those farms are ravaged by erratic rainfall, invasive diseases, and political unrest. Cocoa trees take years to mature, and many plantations are dying faster than they can be replanted. The result? Small artisan chocolatiers who craft premium bars and baking chocolate are shutting down. They can't compete with large corporations locking in dwindling supplies. Even mass-market brands are reformulating, using more fillers and less cocoa, leaving behind a flatter, artificial taste. Think of birthdays without chocolate cake, holidays without rich brownies, or simple nights without that square of dark chocolate. Traditions tied to cocoa may soon disappear. If chocolate matters to you, stock up now, especially on baking chocolate and cocoa powder, which store well. Learn recipes that use chocolate sparingly or explore desserts built around other flavors. Because in the new grocery landscape, chocolate may become a once-a-year luxury, not an everyday pleasure. 10. Specialty vinegars. It may not be the first thing on your list, but vinegar quietly shapes countless meals. Balsamic vinegar from Modena, Italy, depends on particular grape harvests aged in wooden barrels for over a decade. With Mediterranean droughts and erratic weather destroying crops, that process is breaking down. Some small producers can no longer afford to wait 12 years for aging. They're shutting their door. Rice vinegar, essential in Asian cuisine, faces its own struggles. Farmers in Japan and China are switching to more profitable crops, while traditional fermentation methods require skilled workers who are harder to find. Wine vinegars? They're chained to the same fate as wine itself: fewer grapes, lower yields, and skyrocketing costs. Why does this matter for families? Vinegar isn't just for salad dressings. It tenderizes meat, balances sauce, and preserves vegetables. Without the real stuff, home cooking loses depth, and restaurants lose authenticity. Supermarket shelves will fill with imitations, cheap blends flavored with coloring, but they can't match the complexity of the genuine product. To prepare, build a small vinegar collection now. Prioritize versatile types like balsamic, apple cider, and rice vinegar. Store them in cool, dark places and they'll last for years. Even experiment with making your own flavored vinegars at home. Because when the authentic bottles vanish, you'll be glad you stocked the real deal. The truth is, these 10 items are just the beginning. Shortages won't arrive all at once. They'll roll out like falling dominoes. First, you'll notice a brand missing. Then, entire categories shrink. Eventually, those empty shelf spaces spread until whole aisles feel like ghost towns. August 2025 is the breaking point, when harvest failures, shipping breakdowns, and global conflicts converge. And for Americans accustomed to abundance, this will be more than an inconvenience. It will be a cultural shock. Families may find birthday cakes without chocolate, Sunday dinners without rice, or breakfast without maple syrup. The routines we've taken for granted will shift overnight. But there is still time. The next few months are a window of opportunity. Prices, though rising, are still manageable. Shelves are still stocked enough to let you prepare. The smartest move isn't panic buying, it's thoughtful preparation. Build a pantry of versatile staples. Learn old preservation skills. Canning, freezing, fermenting. Experiment with new recipes that don't rely on fragile imports. Most importantly, stay flexible. The families who adapt best are those willing to try new flavors, embrace substitutions, and make do with what's available. Scarcity doesn't have to mean misery. With preparation, it can mean resilience. Because when August comes and grocery aisles change forever, you'll either be scrambling with the crowd or calmly cooking at home, grateful you took action early. The choice is yours, but the timeline is not.